and girls. This is Mrs. Bruno and Mrs. Caruso. We wanted to share a video with you today reviewing the 4 types of entries that we've learned about so far in writing this year. Our first one is our heart math entry. If you remember, in our notebooks, each of us had a chance to draw a heart and fill it with different people, places, and things that were near and dear to our hearts or really important to us. Once we got a few good ideas, we decided to pick one that we wanted to write more about. I decided to pick my dog Chip. Instead of writing everything that's ever happened with Chip, I picked just one memory I had with him. I decided to write about the very first time I ever met Chip in my writer's notebook, and you can see my entry here. The second way, Mrs. Caruso is going to share with you now.
Hi, boys and girls. Remember, for my lesson, we talked about special objects, and I even showed you and brought them in. I had brought in my seashell, which reminded me of my first trip to Emerald Isle. I had my armband that reminded me of Lila's birth. And the softball that actually still at my parents' house reminded me of winning the game with a hit versus JFK, our rival high school. And of course, then I showed you a book called Falling Up, and this was a book given to me during student teaching. These were all objects that were special to me and made me think of something that I would want to write more about. At that point, I had shared with you that I chose the softball, the winning hit versus JFK. And then I shared with you that story about that winning hit. So tonight, you might want to take a look at your special object list, or even look around your room and think of some objects that maybe are near and dear to you that you can make an entry about. Mrs. Bruno is now going to share with you the picture strategy.
Okay, our third entry was using a photograph. So here is just a quick peek at the photo that I used of me fishing in Florida. And then if you remember, after I looked at that picture, I'm not describing the picture, I'm more using the picture to help me think of that memory that happened there. And I spent the next page and a half, I had a lot to say about this, describing to you that 10 minutes of excitement when I caught this big fish down in Florida. Tonight, if you pick this entry, you might want to look around your house and see if there are any photos or pictures that you have around that might help you come up with a brand new idea for your writer's notebook. Our last entry was our box and jot entry, and this is the one that we learned about today. To do this entry, you had to go back and read your other 3 entries to see if you could find new ideas. So if you look at my first entry about Chip, you'll notice that I boxed certain words that stood out to me in my entry. Remember, once I put a box around them, over on the side, I'm going to write what they made me think of. Hopefully, it's going to be a brand new idea that you could possibly write more about. After looking at all my choices, I decided that I wanted to write something about my old dog, Wags. Again, though, I can't write everything about Wags, so I picked the story of how we used to play tag together in the backyard. If you remember, I went to a new page and then wrote my entry about Wags. Tonight for homework, you have a choice to make. You may do any of these 4 types of entries. We only need you to pick one to try out tonight, and you're going to use that one entry to make a brand new one in your writer's notebook. Good luck writing!